I'm Holly and welcome back to my channel, Lipedema. Today I wanted to talk about something really meaningful for me, and that's 5 essential ways that you can support the people in your life with lipedema, whether family or friends. And remember, sometimes it's not the family we're born into, but the family we grow that makes all the difference. And as someone diagnosed with this condition, I can definitely tell you that the love and support of my family and friends in these 5 areas has been a blessing. But first, let's do a lipedema recap. So lipedema is a chronic condition. It affects fat distribution primarily in the legs and arms, but it really depends on the type and phase of the disease that you're in. It's not just excess weight. It's a painful, progressive disease that does not respond to diet and exercise like regular fat. And many of us have felt really misunderstood and kind of dismissed for years before we were diagnosed. So your support means everything now that we have a diagnosis, and we're doing everything that we can to keep this disease from progressing. And I do want to say, I'm not going to be speaking for every person with lipedema in this video. Obviously, each person who has the disease is as individual as their own personalities, and so I would never want to speak or even attempt to speak for all of them. But I can say these are the things that in my experience have really meant a lot, and that I really hope that you'll think about if you have people in your life who have lipedema. All right, 5 ways. Let's get down to it. The first thing I want you to do is please educate yourself and validate our experience, right? So the one thing that mattered most to me when I shared my diagnosis with any of my family or friends was if they actually made the effort to find out a little bit more about the disease. I didn't realize that going in. I never expected someone to actually do this additional research, but when people came back to me with information, it was heartwarming to me. So if you take the time to learn about lipedema from reliable sources, and I'll drop some links below, that'll also help you avoid suggestions like, you can diet or exercise your way out of this, because that is just more of the gaslighting that we've seen throughout the course of our life before we were diagnosed. So acknowledging that it's a real medical condition and understanding the condition is going to be amazing help. And I'll tell you, my son, I remember I was having a particularly bad neg session on myself, talking about how my legs were so problematic and just thinking about what I was going to be able to wear on a business trip. And he really kind of reined me in and said, you have a medical condition. You've got to be kind to yourself. And it meant everything. It really touched my heart. And he's a millennial, so surprise, right? Kidding. So number 2, I would say offer practical support and emotional support, right? Provide some encouragement and positive reinforcement. It seems basic, but you'd be surprised at how many people start trying to do things that are positive, but end up kind of really focusing on all of the negative aspects and making it and trying to make it minimized in some way. They think it's helpful, but actually it just makes us feel not heard. You can remind us that our worth isn't defined by our appearance, and here's a hot tip when you're doing that: don't stare at our legs if we do show them. It's kind of like when a really attractive girl walks by and you're with your boyfriend. You're definitely watching those eyes to see what he's looking at. Also, be patient with us if we go on, I like to call them vent loops about doctor, insurance, bruising, not having anything to wear, doctor, insurance, bruising, and not having anything to wear. Lipedema is a roller coaster, an absolute emotional roller coaster, so your patience is really key. Number 3 is going to be to assist us in finding appropriate clothing, right? Understanding the disease means understanding that we have reduced clothing options. So whether that's on the medical side, recommending different kinds of compression to wear, or on the fashion side, finding us those wide, extra wide calf boots, or maybe the jeans that have a really wide leg opening, is going to be meaningful. So you can also offer to go shopping with us, help us find clothes, because that can be a nightmare, right? And just having someone who can get 5 different kinds of jeans, bring them to us so that we don't have to keep going back and forth, because we know the first 99 are not going to fit. That can be meaningful. Be in it, be ride or die with us, right? And then just understanding our clothing choices, especially if we avoid showing our legs or arms. Being the only one on the beach who doesn't have their legs showing or who isn't wearing a bathing suit isn't a fun place to be. But the more we're around people who leave space for us to be comfortable, the more we're likely to open up and show those parts of ourselves. All right, number 4, support our treatment decisions. It's really important that you respect the choices of the person who's in your life who has lipedema, whether it's for the conservative management route or for surgery. Honestly, this journey isn't linear, so people are going to change their minds about treatment. Once they lock in, though, it's because they've done a lot of research. So we're happy to have you ask questions about why we decided one method or the other, but try to avoid pressuring that person into any particular course of action or in denigrating any particular course of action just because you feel like it wouldn't be the right choice for you. And then the last thing, and I think it's probably the most important one, is to help us navigate this medical maze, because this is where I think a lot of people with lipedema feel completely overwhelmed. You can help us find lipedema specialists, because there aren't a lot of them. Help us find doctors who A, have experience with lipedema, B, accept insurance for lipedema treatment, and C, understand the balance between medical necessity and aesthetic outcomes. Like, if you can do that, that's huge, because that is definitely a place where I have been stuck and keep getting stuck. And honestly, without my bestie, I wouldn't be where I am right now. You can also offer to accompany us to doctor's appointments. It's not just for the sort of morale support, but also we're going to forget to ask questions, and we're also going to not forget, but maybe be incapable of advocating for ourselves sometimes, especially if we have a doctor who's a little more on the gaslighty side, right? Some doctors really get it and some really don't. So having someone with you who can advocate on your behalf in a medical setting is helpful, especially if you're like me and you get a little bit of that white coat syndrome. Just remember, your support can make an incredible difference to someone with lipedema. We're not looking for pity or for anyone to fix us, right? We just want some understanding, validation, and practical help when we need it. And if you follow these 5 steps, you're going to be on your way to being an amazing ally for someone on this challenging journey. And I want to give a shout out to the people in my life who have been an amazing support network for me, who've known me all my life and seen the struggles up and down. Thank you for always taking the time to help me be okay in my skin and to help me find a path forward that's data-driven. Thanks. Remember to like and subscribe, and I hope I'll see you in the next video. Bye.